Okay, so Smogon, they didn't even let me get this guide out. They banned my girl in 2 days. Um, it's okay though. We're chilling. We're chilling. We're still gonna make this guide. So this is the competitive guide on the Scarlet exclusive Paradox form of Mischievous, the Pokemon so broken that Smogon had to ban it from OU in 2 days. Flutter main. Now let's hop straight into that Ghost Fairy typing. We get immunities to Dragon, Fighting, and Normal. Yeah, we'll take those. That 4 times resistance to Bug too. U-turns everywhere. I'll take that too. We are weak to Ghost and Steel, but this is still a pretty good defensive typing. Offensively, it's fantastic. The only Pokemon in the game that resists our dual stab of Ghost Fairy is Pyroar, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Pyroar is not going to be played in any metagame that you're using this Pokemon. So we're eating good for sure, for sure. Now, taking a look at the stats and, oh, Mischievous. This is quite the glow up for our girl Mischievous. So we have 55 HP, 55 attack, 55 defense. I mean, this is bad. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. This physical bulk is trash. This is like the one real weakness that this Pokemon has, is that there's so many, like, most of the priority attacks are physical, and this physical bulk is definitely not it. But 135 special attack, 135 Spadef, and honestly, that Spadef comes in clutch, because, like, you'll live, like, Scarf Shadow Ball from Dragon Bolt, or some, like, really strong neutral special hits, because 135 Spadef is just so much. You don't even invest in it, and it still, like, will tank some strong special hits. And then 135 speed, that's crazy. I mean, this thing really is just like Mega Spectrier. It's Spectrier, except it has Fairy Stab for all of the things that would traditionally check Spectrier. It's insane. Now, looking at its ability, it has Photosynthesis. This is the ability that all of the Paradox Pokemon in Scarlet get, that gives you a boost to your highest stat when you're in Sun. It's a 50% boost if it's speed. For any other stat, it's actually only 30%, we've recently realized. You can also get this boost outside of Sun if you run the item Booster Energy, but it is a consumable item, so you can only get that boost one time. But honestly, with stats like this, sometimes that one-time boost is all you need to take over a game. So hopping into some of the sets, and if you played OU for these first couple days, you know this set. This is the set. Calm Mind, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and I like sub here, but you could run Mystical Fire or Psyshock too with Booster Energy. Life Orb is another option, but like this was the set. I mean, the Booster Energy set, like when you got the free +1 boost when you ran a Timid Nature, you were just outpacing everything. Like it pretty much mandated priority, because like if you didn't have priority, you weren't gonna have anything. You could run stuff like Scarf Dragapult, but like I said earlier, unless you ran Phantom Force, you can't actually kill this mon. So this one invalidated so many Pokemon on its own. This set, like I was talking earlier too, like the special bulk was like, it's so good that like you can Calm Mind on so many things. There's so many Pokemon that you just looked at and you're like, I'm Calm Minding in your face, or I'm gonna get a free sub up, and it's like, you can't stop me. I have 135 Spadef. And then if this thing had a sub, then suddenly, like, oh, your Palafin Jet Punch in the back, your Scissor Bullet Punch in the back, you can't even Revenge Kill it. It's behind a sub, and then this thing will smoke you. Now, you obviously also have stuff like Mystical Fire if you just want to blow up Corviknight. Psyshock was good for stuff like Haze Pegs and like Unaware Clodsire, because those are things that actually could like take this on 1v1 otherwise. But I mean, this set alone was just so good. And honestly, this set is probably going to be really good in Ubers too, because they got Koraidon over there, and he's going to give this thing a Sun boost. You don't even need Boost Energy. Like, you could actually just run Life Orb or another item and have a similar set, because like you're just going to get a free 30% boost to your special attack, or a free 50% boost to your speed, depending on what nature you want to run. So I think even in Ubers, like, this set is probably going to be demonic. Now, taking a look at the spec set, this was definitely overshadowed a bit by the like Calm Mind Booster Energy set. But like this set, like it was hard to switch into this set. This set off the rip was just throwing off Specs Moonblast, Specs Shadow Ball. It was super hard to switch into. And one thing about Booster Energy, like the big downside with Booster Energy is you have to come in and take full advantage of that Booster Energy immediately. Because if you have to switch out Flutter Mane for any reason, you know, you lose your boost, you basically have no item. Specs, you can come in, threaten things, come out, come in, threaten things. Like, there's nothing that was coming in on this thing for free. Like, Ghost Stab, everybody's scared of, like, Specs Shadow Ball from this thing. And the few Pokemon that aren't, like, I mean, stuff like Blissey and Chansey aren't getting played. Like, people aren't playing Blissey and Chansey right now. Some of the other Shadow Ball switch-ins, like all the Dark types, they don't want to take Specs Moonblast. They're going to just die. Even, like, the only normal type people are playing right now is really, like, Cyclizar, and Cyclizar is just going to die to Moonblast. Like, so there's really not, like, there's not really a lot of Pokemon that you could just bring in on this thing and feel, like, good. Like, oh, I'm bringing this in and I feel good about it. Like, this thing was, I mean, Choice Specs, like, it didn't outright win games by itself, like, turn one the way that the other set could, but this set was still, like, really, really hard to switch into. This set's really strong. And then, obviously, you have stuff like Mystical Fire, you have Psyshock, you can run Hex if you're playing a team that's going to, you know, be able to get status on members. Even stuff like T-Bolt. Like, this thing just, the coverage on this thing is crazy. And honestly, it doesn't even need the coverage, because Moonblast and Shadow Ball take care of everything for you. So yeah, the spec set was also really, really, really strong. And I think it'll continue to be strong in Ubers as well. And another set I wanted to, you know, take a quick look at was like the Hex T-Wave set. This definitely was like a little bit more niche. You didn't see this as much. I do think that, like, this set was also super annoying to deal with as well. Like, obviously, if you get a T-Wave into Hex, like, Hex will actually do more on a status Pokemon than a Spec Shadow Ball will. And especially if you start Calm Mind boosting, it gets ugly quickly. I think with the metagame being as fast as it was for those first couple of days that this was in the tier, this was like the two-step like offense was like, you know, it's a lot easier to just like kind of click Shadow Ball or just Calm Mind once and try and win than it was to do all of this. But this set obviously was really, really strong as well. You could even run this with like leftovers if you just wanted to kind of stick around a while and like kind of bully some defensive Pokemon with like boosted hexes. I mean, this set also was really good. Flutter Mane had like even stuff like Taunt. Taunt was also another option. I think Taunt could be a good option in VGC as well, because fast Taunt's always a great thing. I do worry about this Pokemon a little bit in VGC, only because the physical bulk I feel in VGC is more of an issue. In singles, you could just kill what's in front of you before they could touch you, right? In doubles, you know, it's going to be hard to get rid of both Pokemon. Like, it's like, if you don't have misdirection, like Rage Powder or Follow Me or something to protect this, sometimes it's just going to take hits. It is good, at least you are immune to Fake Out, so they can't just like Fake Out and focus you down. But, you know, I do think that this thing might struggle a little bit more in VGC, but with these stats, I expect it to still be at least a solid pick anyway. And for Terra options for this Pokemon, this thing ran a lot of different Terra options when it was in the tier. Fire is obviously pretty good because you get those boosted mystical fires. Especially if you're playing this in Sun, then you're just cooking with those mystical fires. As well as getting a resistance to stuff like Bullet Punch was really nice, since Scissor was one of the things people used to try and revenge kill this. Normal was really good because Normal lets you like take on a lot of the Ghost that would be options to try and kill this. Fairy and Ghost, obviously, just to boost your stabs. Like those Terra boosted Moonblast, those Terra boosted Shadow Balls, they were impossible to switch into, especially if you were like Choice Backed or you were a +1 with Calm Mind. So I think this is definitely a Pokemon that has a ton of Terra options. You're probably just gonna have to play around with it and see what fits your team best, but this thing abused a lot of Terra options when it was in the tier, and it will continue to abuse a lot of Terra options in whatever metagames have Terra. All in all, this Pokemon is definitely one of the strongest offensive menaces that we've ever seen in OU. This thing was Spectrier on crack. It was insane. I still think that even in Ubers or VGC or Battle Spot singles or whatever format like that you'll have this Pokemon in, it's still gonna get a lot of work. Like this is just such a crazy broken Pokemon that I feel like in any format it's gonna have a place. Obviously, it sucks that we didn't get more than 2 days to play with this thing in OU, but I can't say the decision was wrong. I mean, this thing is insane. It's absolutely insane. Obviously, with home in a few months, there is the opportunity for it to potentially come back into the tier. I kind of doubt it, but like you never know. A lot of things can change. And obviously, if it does come back in the tier, you know I'm gonna be one of the first people who are on Pokemon Showdown to go use it again. So that's gonna conclude the guide on Flutter Main. You could go to the channel. We're going to have tons of guides for every single Paldean Pokemon, as well as tons of other Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet content. So see y'all next time.